South Korea is seeking compensation for one of its cargo ships struck by a missile in the Strait of Hormuz earlier this month. Seoul says it will lodge a protest to the Iranian ambassador. The HMM Namu was reportedly hit by two airborne objects earlier this month while stranded in the vital waterway. The impact triggered an explosion and fire, injuring at least one crew member. Tehran has denied any involvement. Meanwhile, Iran's Revolutionary Guard is downplaying fears of renewed clashes with the United States. It says a return to war is unlikely, even as the intelligence ministry maintains its position that Washington and Israel seek to overthrow the Islamic Republic. Along the strait, some 25 oil tankers were able to pass through, although Tehran has issued another warning against vessels from hostile countries. In southern Lebanon, Israel is pressing ahead with strikes, the latest of which left more than 30 people dead. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has vowed to crush Lebanon-based Hezbollah as his forces expand ground operations in the region. In Gaza City, Israel says it has killed Mohammed Odeh, identified as the new leader of Hamas's military wing. Hamas has not confirmed this. At least 3 others were killed and 12 more wounded in the strikes which took place yesterday. Blake Sifton is covering this story for CNN. He's live from Tel Aviv. Blake, what can South Korea be hoping to get when it summons the Iranian ambassador?
Good evening, Wei Su. It's unlikely that Iran will accept responsibility for this attack. They previously denied any responsibility, and so far they have not responded following those findings released by the South Korean government. Of course, the South Korean findings don't explicitly accuse any entity in Iran of carrying out this attack or say whether it was intentional. Now, after this attack took place, President Trump urged South Korea to join the U.S. Navy's efforts at the time to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. And certainly Iran will not want to push any uninvolved countries like South Korea into participating in actions like that. But it is unlikely that they will make any overtures towards South Korea or apologize. Throughout this war, Iran has attacked all of their Gulf neighbors at various times. And they're also accused of attacking oil and cargo ships traveling under various countries' flags, and they have not apologized or accepted responsibility for those attacks.
Blake, what's happening in Lebanon will play into whether Tehran agrees to any new peace deal or extension of the current ceasefire. And Israel, as we just mentioned, promising, or the Prime Minister pushing ahead, expanding operations in Lebanon. Meanwhile, we've got the Hamas's new leader, if it's a military wing, Mohammed Odeh. Israel saying it has killed this new leader. What's happening in Lebanon and Gaza?
Well, that's right. Just a little while ago, the Israeli military said that in the past day, they have carried out over 150 strikes targeting Hezbollah in southern and eastern Lebanon. We understand that a new wave of airstrikes are unfolding just now as we speak. And this comes after Prime Minister Netanyahu said that the Israeli military is intensifying their military operations in Lebanon, that they are pushing further into Lebanon beyond the so-called yellow line, that they have occupied some 10 kilometers into Lebanese territory, and that they are now taking other strategic positions. All of this follows the increasing use by Hezbollah of these first-person view suicide drones that use fiber optic cable so they cannot be jammed. And Hezbollah has been routinely and regularly attacking Israeli forces in Lebanon with these drones, and they are increasingly using them to attack Israeli border communities. So it's understood that the Israeli military has been pushing Prime Minister Netanyahu to give them a longer leash, to allow them to carry out more attacks and go deeper into Lebanon, perhaps in hopes of pushing Hezbollah operatives further back from the border, because, of course, these drones connected to cables do have to be somewhat close to the border, even though they do have a range of upwards of 20 kilometers. Now, analysts here suggest that as negotiations to reach a deal between Iran and the United States gains steam, the situation actually gets more dangerous in Lebanon because both Hezbollah and Israel will want to increase their position, improve their position, and gain ground essentially ahead of any deal. But of course, Iran has said that they want a ceasefire in Lebanon as part of an agreement with the United States. So intensified military actions in Lebanon could jeopardize those talks with the U.S. Now, meanwhile, in Gaza, as you say, Israel has announced the killing of Hamas's military head. That comes only 11 days after the previous military leader was also killed in an Israeli attack in Gaza City. And I think that really just amplifies how the violence in Gaza has not stopped. Despite a ceasefire agreed in October, some 906 Palestinians have been killed in Israeli attacks. Of course, President Trump's Gaza peace plan was meant to advance into its second stage. There was quite a bit of international momentum behind that. But when the war in Iran began, that progress in Gaza has completely stalled. Stakeholders have been distracted. Many of these stakeholders are under attack themselves. Meanwhile, Hamas has refused to disarm. And the Israeli military, who at the beginning of the ceasefire occupied some 53% of Gaza's territory and are meant to withdraw as the ceasefire advances into its later stages, according to Israeli Army radio, they've actually advanced further and now control some 59% of territory in Gaza.
Thanks. Blake Sifton there covering the story for CNA Live from Tel Aviv.